the telco with Oracle, where I was looking after some of the biggest telcos in the region. And it was a purely commercial role to see how we're able to and sell software to the telco vertical, something that I did for 4 years in Oracle, which were very rewarding because we were able to see how technology would be able to just automate, the brick and mortar that telcos still sit on and they're trying to
How was
leapfrog.
that? Your time at Oracle, because I know Oracle is a high octane sales machine. How was that during your 4 years?
You're right. It was first, I would say it was fast. Two, I would say it was very challenging, especially convincing telcos that they need to move away from their traditional revenue earning sources. The SIM, the calls, the data, and all, to now start looking at digital channels to look at how they can move their HR from having a payroll that's in country to having it on cloud, to automating the supply chain systems. Very difficult conversations on telling them you need to move your finance from, this on-premise setup to take it to the cloud. So I would say it was very challenging from that particular aspect, but very rewarding to see some telcos making very bold steps on automating their processes and looking at digital channels, which has eventually led to a good number of them starting to generate revenue from very different sources in that particular space. Yeah, so Oracle was quite an adventure. And those 4 years, passed by like, 2-3 months because it was so busy to try to move them from point A to point B.
Okay.
Yeah. And, so it was a very interesting journey just to, talk to telcos about tech, see them trying to apply tech and actually see the output of tech in terms of them just kind of like adopting these services. And I must say that, COVID also helped because COVID brought this notion of we can automate everything. We can work from home, we can digitize stuff that we normally used to do in the office. And the uptake was very high, especially in the telco space, who remained very relevant, at the heart of COVID where nobody was moving from point A to point B. And that pretty much worked for, tech companies like Oracle to just kind of like get their services deep into the telco, ecosystem. Yeah.
A friend of mine, I think a mutual friend of ours, Moses coming back, coined the term COVID-assisted digital transformation. How much of that is really true? How much of that did you actually see? How COVID moved people digitally and transformed them digitally, almost involuntarily, forced by circumstances. COVID was probably the best digital transformation chief officer the world has ever seen.
That is very true. And if I was just to underscore what you're saying, one of the biggest problems I think we face out here is change management. We are so used to our ways. And, if I tell you early today, you need to do this podcast in a different platform, you'll ask why, what will it change? But this is working for me. Why should I move this new thing? Exactly. But COVID almost forced us to embrace this entire digital transformation. But while in Oracle, Zoom pretty much moved to the Oracle cloud infrastructure, and everybody was using Zoom. So it was scaling everywhere, and everybody was trying to get onto that particular platform.
Zoom stream was just amazing.
Exactly. So it's one of those, let's say, COVID-assisted digital transformation that has now stuck to date. Because if you were to fast forward to now, like right now, I'm working from home. There's still that hybrid that is running. You can go to the office, yes, but you have the balance of operating from home and going from office.
So officially, where are you supposed to be based officially? This work environment, work culture, this new normal is also a very interesting story to have. You cover the whole of Africa and Middle East. Officially, where is your office? Or do you even have one?
No, I do. So I'm my base is Nairobi. At minute. So that's where my domiciled at. But if not
was that your choice? Was that your choice, or you could decide to domicile in Dubai or in Lagos or whatever? Because after all, you're covering Africa and Middle East.
Yeah, so I could either be domiciled in Lagos, I could be in Johannesburg, or I could buy. And Nairobi made so much sense because I feel Nairobi is at the cradle of this digital transformation, and everybody is starting to see Nairobi as the Silicon Savannah. And if you look at the Middle East and Africa, every place I need to go is a flight away. So I will not be hopping over to connect flights to get to,
So geographically centralized, very, very vibrant ecosystem.
Yes, yes.
Of course, can we brag a bit and say that Nairobi beat Paris for the best city to visit in the world? I mean, that's no small measure of bragging rights.
That's
of course, and of course for you it's home. So but it's good to have choices, right?
It's good to have choices, and it's good also to experience different cultures and environments. Much as we say we are home, and we're trying to build a home. Yeah, so because that always changes the mindset, and you see how you can do things differently. As an individual and also as an organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. So from Oracle,
I joined Mastercard about a year ago. This very interesting role. So I've always wanted to, to be at the center of financial services. Reason being that being in the FI space gives you a chance to, first of all, kind of like have an impact to the guys at the bottom of the pyramid. I would call them the unbanked in terms of bringing services to them.
Or underbanked.
Or underbanked. I think underbanked is a better term. And, sitting in a space where you see all this firepower and the biggest, being one of the biggest change agents is how do you make it make sense to these people who are, let's say, underbanked? And, how do you first of all localize this technology? Because what happens in Europe is not what happens in Malawi, and it's not what will happen in Ivory Coast. So how do you come back to Africa and say, you know what, we have these fantastic technologies, but do they make sense first of all? And most importantly, will they able to make an impact to a person at the bottom end of the chain? So being in Mastercard gives me a chance to be able to, first of all, live that dream and, be in a space where I'm able to, make decisions and have those conversations that will be able to, drive that impact. And I think it's an exciting time to be smack where I am right now.
This is fantastic. It's actually super interesting. And let me ask you. Mastercard is one of the top payment platforms or ecosystems, if you want to call it, across the world.
Yeah.
Is this title that you currently have, which I find super intriguing, Head of Telco Digital Partnerships, Middle East and Africa, is this a new title, or has this position been there for a while?
So this position first has been there for a while. I would say globally, and I'll give context to that because Mastercard for the longest time I think has been known as a credit card company, which is not the case. It was actually a technology company, and the reason I say that is away from the core business that pretty much focuses on financial institutions. Mastercard has this focus on what we would call segments. And segments is where you would see telco, you would see government, you would see fintech, you would see AI, you would see crypto. And in those different verticals, pretty much builds solutions that are able to, first of all, not just automate and create impact, but also deliver value to the people that sit in these particular segments. So telco is very close to to Mastercard because, beyond what telco can reach, or rather the reach of telco, especially if you look at a place like is so huge. If you pick Nigeria, for example, one telco like Airtel, they already have 60 million subscribers. I mean, that's huge. you touch on, other telcos across board.
That is more than all subscribers in Kenya put together.
Exactly. Wow. Exactly.
And they are not even number one. Are they number one? Airtel?
They're number two. They're number two. Yeah. Yeah.
So number one is MTN.
Yes. Yes.
At what? And what are the numbers for MTN?
I can validate that, but they're close,
more than
slightly
60,
above.
obviously.
Okay. More than 60, yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, being in a space where you see this reach from telcos, and you have this sort of technology that come in between to reach this, let's call them the underbanked, then we end up looking at ourselves and saying we're sitting on such a huge potential to change the game in Africa. And Mastercard is really looking at that and seeing what essentially can it do as a technology company to be able to drive, what is famously called digital transformation to these people that are underbanked through different, value and services.
Quite interesting. I mean,